Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of NEWSWAVE, written, produced and recorded in the heart of Cornwall by the team here at Chaos Radio. You ought to know by now, I'm your host Tom Howe, and I'll be guiding you through some of the insightful guests and exciting news content that we've enjoyed across Chaos Radio this past week. On today's show, we join Kerra Hancock, Executive Director at Out of the Woods CIC, to highlight a new regular giving campaign launched to support children in Cornwall affected by adverse childhood experiences. We check in with Kathryn Sainsbury-Wilkes of the Henwyn Collective, who shares details of their free photography workshops inspired by George Ellis and Bodmin's heritage, as well as an upcoming exhibition of theirs. As well as that, we take a trip with our active community, St Austell and Clay Country, to hear how the project is developing, and from Emma and Craig about how their respective organisations, Cornwall Bicycle Project and St Austell Table Tennis Club, are using seed funding to help make their activities even more inclusive and accessible. If all that wasn't enough, we hear from Rudi's Message, a Cornish Ska and two-tone 5-piece cover band that has been entertaining audiences for 25 years. To mark their anniversary, they're going out on tour, performing at key venues across the Duchy, starting in March.
NEWSWAVE.
Out of the Woods CIC is launching a new regular giving campaign to support children in Cornwall affected by adverse childhood experiences. Through monthly donations, supporters can fund transformative therapy sessions that give children and young people the chance to heal, rebuild, and to thrive. We're delighted to be joined by Kerra Hancock, Executive Director of Out of the Woods, to share details of this campaign and how you can get involved in supporting the life-changing therapy for children here in Cornwall.
NEWSWAVE.
Look, before we dive into the details of the campaign, could you just tell us a little bit more about Out of the Woods CIC and your mission to support children here in Cornwall, please?
No, of course. So Out of the Woods is 3 years old. We set up, myself and another play therapist, because we realised that funding was a major issue in regards to young people receiving the help that they needed. We're all in a world at the moment where living crisis is quite tight, not only just for us personally, but also for services. So we wanted to be able to make sure that young people who had experienced things that they shouldn't have really gone through, that finances was not going to be the barrier and the obstacle that prevented them from getting help. Hence why the CIC was born. Since we've opened, our referral door has not closed, which is a good thing for us, but it's also quite sad to hear that there's so many young people out there who are actually in desperate need of support.
Yeah, indeed. For those that might not be aware then, could you just explain what adverse childhood experiences, some people might know them as ACEs, are and how they affect children?
Okay, so like you said, they are adverse childhood experiences, and they could be anything from a small thing of, well, it's not small for young people, a bereavement within the family, all the way up to abuse, neglect, and that could be physical, emotional, or sexual. And the effect it has on young people is that if you have more than one, then it does have a knock-on effect. Studies have shown that it has a knock-on effect to adulthood and the generational trauma. So it can move from one person to the next person in the generation, in the families. By offering the services that we do, we hopefully kind of put a pause and reset on that happening and moving forward into the next generation, and able to give that young person their life back, really, on the road to recovery.
Yeah, that's so important, isn't it? I wonder if you could just share with us some detail on the therapy that you do provide, and importantly, how they are tailored to each child's unique needs.
Yeah, no, certainly. So we are unique in ourselves in that we offer a variety of creative arts therapy. We believe that not one size fits all. Each child is unique. and each child should receive a unique package for their recovery. We offer play, drama, music, outdoors. We meet the child initially, and from that we build a rapport. And from that rapport and that relationship building, we can kind of gauge what that individual child needs. So for some children, they're fine within a room and they prefer to be contained by those four walls. For other children, they find those four walls too restrictive. So that's why we then go outside and we go to the woods, or we'll go to local kind of parks, just so somewhere where they can kind of have that supportive environment, but are able to kind of be a bit more holistic in themselves and be more freer. So we also offer what the child needs, and not based on a minimum number of sessions. On our website, you'll find that there is a minimum because we need an ethical number. So it is minimum of 12. However, majority of the young people that come through our services have between 6 months to a year. Some children have had to have longer because of the complexity of their needs. And we don't believe that actually, here's your 6 sessions or here's your 12 sessions and off you go, you're fixed. We're not a band-aid service. And we hope that by offering that potential to go by how long the child needs, we're able to get to the deeper roots of the cause of why they've come to us in the first place.
Yeah, so powerful. Look, to help support your work, you're launching a regular giving campaign called Leaf on Our Giving Tree. Can you tell us how this works and what difference people's donations will make?
Okay, so our giving tree is looking extremely autonomous at the moment. We have got organisations, local restaurants donate to us on a monthly basis. And by donating, you have such an impact on young people because you're helping take and alleviate the stresses of the finances that are putting those blocks in place for young people. Young people seem to come, in our view, second to the needs of what goes on in life and what happens in school. And by starting this campaign, by offering it out to the community to come and help these young people, it just makes a huge amount of difference, not only to the young person, but it has a knock-on effect to the family. There's some families who are having to go down to one income because the child can't go into school. And so the snowball just continues. And so by offering therapy at a subsidised rate just means that we're just alleviating the stress for everybody involved. So individuals or organisations can either donate as a one-off donation, or you can make it as a monthly donation, and it is whatever anybody can afford. We have people who donate 1 session a month, and we have others who donate more, and we have people who donate less than 1 session. It's down to what you as an individual or an organisation can afford. And to coin a phrase, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use it, but every penny does count and every penny does go towards the young people. It doesn't go to swanky offices. We don't have any offices. So every single penny will be to help transform young people's lives.
We'll let you off the phrase because you're making such a big difference. I just wonder how can someone donate to become a leaf on your giving tree, and what might you already have been able to achieve since the campaign launched?
Okay, so in order to be able to donate, you can go to our website, which is www.outofthewoods-therapy.co.uk, and on there is a fundraising link that you can just put in whatever donation you wish to follow, whether that's a monthly or a one-off. The difference, if we'd had the money in place now, it would have just meant that the children that are on our waiting list now, who are waiting for funding, who are desperate to be able to get back on track, wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be on the waiting list. And if we can try and not have that waiting list, would just be immense to be able to pick up that phone to that desperate parent or that school member and go, yeah, no, it's fine, we're sorted. You can just get help straight away. It's just a case of doing the the administration side of it, but we've got the money to help support you. To eradicate our waiting list would just be a tremendous thing to be able to do.
You've sort of answered my next question as well. I was going to say you've already provided hundreds of therapy sessions here in Cornwall. I was going to ask then, what is the impact of this work and why is it so important to continue growing these services? But I think you encapsulated in your last answer everything about that question. I just wonder if there's anything you wanted to add at all on that.
Yeah, no, I will do, because I've looking back at the children that we have supported and the families that have come across our threshold, if you like. We've had young people who are school refusers, who have gone back to school, who have gone and got their GCSEs, who are now flourishing in the world and is making a huge difference for themselves and the impact. So we've got a young person that really didn't have an inkling of who they were. They didn't want to be in the world, to be honest, which is a really sad thing to hear from a young person's mouth, to then being on a nursing degree and making a change and making a difference. So to see that change and the remarkable recovery, people thank us as therapists, but it's not us as therapists who needs the thanks. It's the young people who have gone through hell and back, who've put the work in themselves to get onto that nursing degree. So I think that is a big enough message to send, that actually we can help save somebody's life.
Yeah, incredible. If listeners are interested in learning more or getting involved with Out of the Woods CIC, how can they contact you then, or how can they find out more information?
Okay, so we have got our Facebook page, which is Out of the Woods CIC, and we've got our website, which I mentioned earlier. We are looking for volunteers to help us. We are a very small organisation, so volunteers as well as financial donations are more than welcome, and actually welcomed with open arms. The reason why we're looking for volunteers is just so that we can help put on more fundraising events to help boost that pot of money to go alongside this campaign that we're doing.
Just to support even more children and young people, that would be fantastic. Kerra, before we wrap up, can I just ask if you have any closing remarks? It says here as well, can you remind our listeners where they can find out more information? But we've just done that as well. So is there anything else you wanted to add while you've got the platform to do so?
Yeah, no, I just think it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for those who donate, for those who volunteer. It's a feel-good factor. It ticks, if you're an organisation and you have to tick a social responsibility tick box on your annual returns, then we can do that. We can provide that for you. And in the meantime, it's helping young people who are in desperate need of support to want to live again. And I just think you could be that person who makes a difference. You don't have to save 20 billion children, just one will make a ripple effect.
Look, our thanks to Kerra Hancock, Executive Director of Out of the Woods CIC, for joining us here on Chaos Radio. If you'd like to get involved or offer your support towards their vital work, head on over to outofthewoods-therapy.co.uk for more information. If you do feel that you are able to donate, your contribution, as you've heard, will go towards helping make a real difference to the lives of children and young people in need here in Cornwall.
NEWSWAVE.
Another huge thank you to Kerra Hancock, Executive Director at Out of the Woods CIC, for joining us here on Chaos Radio. I'm sure that's not the last we'll be hearing from them. Next up then, we're joined by Simon from Rudi's Message, a Cornish Ska and two-tone cover band celebrating 25 years of music with an upcoming anniversary tour. And it's over to Mia Howlett for this one.
NEWSWAVE.
So congrats on 25 years, Simon. Did you ever imagine that Rudi's Message would be gearing up for a 25th anniversary tour when you first started being in the band?
Absolutely not, because our first ever gig was actually a private gig, and it was something we were doing for fun, and it was just supposed to be a one-off. for a colleague that we worked with, a 30th birthday. But the venue liked what we did because it was obviously a private gig, but the venue liked what we did. And at the end of the evening, I sort of shocked the rest of the guys in the band and said, we now need to learn a lot more songs because they want us to gig properly. And it just took off from there.
That's so nice that it's kind of like an organic journey. You didn't really set out to do it, but it just happened that way. That's cool. So you're going to be performing at the Watering Hole, Princess Pavilions in Falmouth and the Acorn in Penzance. I wonder how important have these and other local music venues been to the band over the years?
Massively. I think one of our hardest decisions recently is the fact that we're having to reduce the amount of pub gigs that we do in order to now get into some of these bigger venues. That's a real tough decision because the pubs have really been our bread and butter for, and our foundations for everything that we've done. But over the years, we've been lucky enough to play things like Falmouth Week, Tunes in the Dunes, Tunes in the Park. And that's really where our passion lies. And to be honest, the feedback we get is that's where we're best on those bigger stages. So it's been a tough decision. So those venues, they're invaluable. If they were never there, I don't know what we'd do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can imagine there's been so many highlights from the last 25 years. But is there anything in particular that stands out to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the obvious things for us really are over the last 25 years. Growing up with this music, we had some of our sort of icons when I was a child, and we've been lucky enough to play an after party for Madness at Tunes in the Dunes. We played an after party for Paul Weller. We've also supported Bad Manners, The Selector, The Beat, Neville Staples and the Specials. These are people that I listened to when I was growing up in my bedroom, and then to think, oh my goodness me, I'm playing on the same stage as them, and they're watching us do our warm ups and stuff. And we're playing with Bad Manners again this year in August up at Seaview Farm. So just those are the highlights, really. Just to be able to share a stage with some of our icons was again, because we didn't start out as thinking we were going to be a big band. That's just been amazing.
That is an amazing achievement. And I am interested to know, Simon, where did that love for ska and two-tone music originate from for you?
Well, for me, it was growing up. I'm at that age where 1979, 80, 81 was my coming out of primary school, going into secondary school age, where music was massive. And we all know we live in an era now where social media is huge. But back then, if you had a record player or a cassette player, that was your entertainment. So music was massive. And I was always into music, but it just grabbed me. But my love of music really stemmed from reggae. I loved reggae. And then really just when the ska scene came back in 79 and the Specials and Madness, it was just everything I just really wanted to listen to. And that's where the love came. And I've never fallen out of love with it. That's the thing.
And I know the bands have been a huge part of the community over the years and sort of giving back as well. And one example of that is how you supported the Born to Ride September 100 event in aid of Children's Hospice South West. Why is getting involved with these kind of events and supporting them important to you as a band?
Exactly what you just said, really. We've always been I think, again, because of our humble sort of beginnings, and we're very humble. We don't take anything for granted. We're very happy that, the success we've had, but we never take anything for granted. And what we've always said is, if it wasn't for the people, the community, then we wouldn't be a band. So it's all about giving back. So every year we do 3 or 4 charity gigs. We've supported the hospice a couple of times. In fact, one of our founder members, was Gary Small. He was our bass player originally. When he decided to leave the band, going on probably about 8 years ago now, we actually did our own gig, and again that was for the Children's Hospice. And it's just about giving something back to the community. We're a community band, we're a family band. That's what we like to. We love it when kids come to gigs and families come to gigs, and that's what it's all about. So whenever we can give back, we will.
Looking now and sort of gearing up towards that 25th anniversary tour, how are you feeling? Are you excited about it? What's the feeling in the band?
We're really excited because we just want to get out there and give everybody. Again, it's about giving back. It's very difficult to sometimes when you're off on the pub scene to then go and play bigger venues and just it's very easy, I say, to be just that normal band that plays in the pub. Now, we're not like that. So what we're doing is we're going to make these shows even bigger, even better, and give us, we're going to give everything we've got. That's what it's about. And I think that's sort of been the ethos of what we do. And when people come and see us, is they just love the energy, they just love the feeling, and love the fact that we love it and we show that, you know. And I think if you don't show that, then other people will pick up on it. So we are so excited to just get out there and just give it everything we've got. In fact, to be honest, we'll probably, the one thing that we get really frustrated with is probably we don't have enough time on some of these gigs to give everything we've got. So we'll still get a 2-hour show in, and still get at the end of the evening, we go, we didn't play that and that because we didn't have time. That's the frustrating bit. So we would love to be able to put shows on for 4 hours, but I don't know if people could dance for that long. I know I couldn't.
I mean, a 2-hour set and a 2-hour encore. I mean, it could be something new. Who knows?
It could be the first.
Yeah, and I think definitely from people like in our community here at Chaos Radio that have come to see Rudi's message, I can say they always say that you have so much energy, and the crowd brings that too. For someone that maybe has been in Cornwall and for some reason over the last 25 years they've not managed to catch a Rudi's message gig, what would you say is kind of the vibe if they're going to turn up for the first time on this tour that you're doing?
Okay, so the way to describe that is there's a few questions we get asked quite often when we're doing gigs. Now, it's weird, when we put the 25th anniversary gigs on, this is a really, really good question. People say to us, so the venues that you picked, please don't tell me they're seated venues, because you will not sit down at one of our gigs. And that's the first thing we do. Now, we have been offered venues, and there are some venues, some great venues around that we've been offered and said, you know, would you like to come and play here? And we've actually had to say, you know, again, tough decision to say, it doesn't really work for us, because a seated venue is not what we're about. If you think you're going to come along and sit down and watch us, it ain't going to happen. You're going to get on your feet and you're going to jump around, and you're going to have that energy, and you're going to join in with what we do. That really describes what we're about. And if you love ska music and you love it the way it used to be back in the late 70s, early 80s, where it was really vibrant, that's what you're going to get.
Oh, it sounds brilliant, Simon. And I want to take a quick break from reminiscing and ask you, I know obviously you've got so much going on this year already with those 3 gigs and all that excitement, but I wonder if there's anything that you'd like to see in the future for Rudi's message as well.
Well, you couldn't have asked that at a better time either, because one of the things we would like to do, and one of the reason, again, the tough decision of cutting back on pubs, is to give ourselves the time to look at bigger venues and going a little bit further afield. Now, as it happens, we're actually off to Bournemouth this weekend. So we're actually driving up to Bournemouth tomorrow. So we're headlining Saturday night at a big ska festival at a big holiday camp in Bournemouth. So we want to be able to do those. We've got in with a couple of promoters up there. We want to be able to go further afield. We do go out of the county. We do go to Plymouth and a little bit further. But we want to be able to get out as far as we can. But by doing as many gigs as we used to and gigging every Friday and Saturday, you just didn't have the time. So again, it's a tough decision, but it's one that will allow us to be able to do that. But that's our future, really. It's not to leave Cornwall. We're still going to do Cornwall, but just to be able to push and show what we do, you know, a little bit further afield.
So can you remind us everything we need to know about this 25th anniversary tour, how people can buy tickets and support you and all that?
Yes. So what we've done is we've put on 3 main shows, and they are going to be the Watering Hole on Friday the 14th of March. You've then got Princess Pavilions in Falmouth, which is Friday the 18th of April. And then you've got the Acorn in Penzance, which is Sunday, which is an Easter Sunday, which is a bank holiday Sunday. So although it's a Sunday, it's a bank holiday. So we've looked at that one. And that's Sunday, the 25th of May. So the easiest thing to do, look on our Instagram, look on our Facebook page. We've got posters all over there, which got links to the tickets. Each place has got slightly different access to tickets. So Acorn, you contact their website. Princess Pavilions, there's a site that's called ctickets.com, and Watering Hole, just contact the Watering Hole. But at the end of the day as well, if anyone wants to contact us, give us a shout and we'll help you. But yeah, look at our posters, and again, look for the next couple of weeks, because we're just going to blast it on social media. Yeah, it'll be good.
Amazing. Simon, it all sounds super, super exciting. I have one final question. I know that the people that come to see you perform and have supported you over the years are really important to the band. So I was just wondering if you have any kind of message for the crowds that have supported you over the last 25 years.
Oh, absolutely. As I said before, if it wasn't for people that supporting us, we wouldn't be a band. And a lot of people will say, without a band, you don't get music and so on and so on. But the people that come and see us, and it's not just people that come and see us, it's that loyalty, that people come and see us time and time and time again. And again, we never, as I said, we never take anything for granted. We're very humble. So when we go and play Falmouth Week, every year we headline the Falmouth Week on the Thursday night, and there's 1,300 people there. And every year, I don't turn up next year. We don't turn up the next year thinking, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be 1,300 people. We sit there thinking, are people going to come? Are people going to come? So we just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that's ever supported us. And there's lots of people over the years. We've had quite a few band members that aren't with us anymore. And people that supported us in lots of different ways through marketing, advertising, supported us in just lots of different ways. And we just want to say thank you. And the biggest thank you is just to those people that get in their car on a December night when it's pouring with rain, or get on a bus or get on a train and come to a pub when I'm thinking, in my head sometimes thinking, oh my goodness me, I don't know if I'd go out if I was playing. But I just look at them and just think, thank you.
NEWSWAVE.
A big thank you to Simon from Rudi's Message, and of course to Mia Howlett too. A reminder that the band will be at the Watering Hole in Perranporth on Friday 14th of March, at Princess Pavilions in Falmouth on Friday 18th of April, and the Acorn in Penzance on Sunday the 25th of May as part of their 25th anniversary tour. As for Mia, you can catch her every Friday here on Chaos Radio from 10 until 1. Next up, we're joined by Kathryn Sainsbury-Wilkes from the Henwyn Collective. Kathryn told me all about their exciting free photography workshops that run until May, offering a unique chance to explore a range of photography methods.
NEWSWAVE.
We are a Cornwall-based collective of female photographers, and we try and do a range of things all based in Cornwall, such as delivering workshops, doing photography, and doing music videos as well. And we all met through our involvement with Falmouth University, working either in the photography department or then meeting through friends there. And we've been together since 2023 now, doing a range of different photographic activities.
Amazing. Your free photography workshops sound like a fantastic opportunity and really aligns with kind of what we're trying to do and promote at Chaos. Can you just tell us a little bit more about them, what participants can expect, who they're for, and how they were inspired by George Ellis as well, please?
Yeah, so the workshops are definitely what we're really excited about doing at the moment. Like you said, they really align with what we want to do, which is promote Cornwall heritage and to provide opportunities for people. And so it's a series of workshops that has already started, but we've still got most of the workshops left. They're running all the way through till the middle of May. And so we've still got a few spaces left if anyone wants to join. The main aim of this set of workshops is to learn about documentary photography. So we're going to be doing some street photography. We're going to be doing some traditional portraiture. We're going to be doing a little bit of film, a little bit of digital, but it's really going to be based on what the participants want to do. And so whether you are somebody who hasn't got that much experience in photography and wants to learn more, or whether you're a professional photographer that basically wants a group of people to get together and share ideas, it's really catering for everyone. And we've already got a really cool bunch of people. So, some of them are retired, some of them are young professional photographers, but it's all about people coming together to kind of celebrate Bodmin's heritage, really, and to go out and document it. And even if you're not interested in joining as a participant, we're really looking for people to photograph as well. So whether you're a business owner in Cornwall, if you know somebody who you think is a really interesting character, if there's any groups, if there's any success stories, anything like that, we'd love to hear from you and see if we can get you involved with this project. And as you said, it is inspired by George Ellis, which hopefully some people listening will know of George Ellis. He's a photographer that lived in Cornwall in the 1930s, and he basically photographed everything that was happening in Bodmin. And so we're really taking on that spirit of trying to sort of put ourselves in the community and photograph it from the inside, really.
Accessibility appears to be another important part of your approach. How do you ensure your workshops are open to everyone, regardless of experience or background?
Yeah, accessibility is something that we always aim to do with our workshops. And we do that in a few quite obvious ways, which is that the venue we work with, which is the old library, which is where Inter Bodmin is based, which is an amazing place where they offer all sorts of different workshops and events in Bodmin. And so that's an accessible step-free access venue. Another big way in which we make our workshops accessible is the price, and that's that they're all free. We think it's really important that these workshops can be open to everyone, regardless of your financial situation, especially as at the moment, I don't think anyone's in a good financial situation. So yeah, just making it as open as possible. And also we do have experience with working with people of, I think, literally all ages, from children to, people in their 80s. And we've also got experience with, for instance, Nat has worked in support work quite a lot in her life. So yeah, we do have the kind of skills required to work with a range of people, and we will be covering all the basics in our workshops. So if you're a professional, as I say, that's fine. But if you've only just picked up a camera, that's fine as well. In fact, sometimes we bring along our own cameras for people to use. So it really is open to anyone. If you've got any specific requirements, if you just email us in advance, and then we can let you know what we can do to accommodate.
You touched on it a little bit there, but your co-founders, Natalie and Kate, and yourself, you each bring unique skills to the collective. Could you just share more about your individual strengths at Henwyn Collective and how they shape your different projects?
I'll speak a little bit more about Natalie, as I've mentioned her already. So as I just said, she's come from a background in support work, but also comes from a background working in the film industry. And so she brings a lot of sort of professional expertise there, which she's then learned to adapt to deliver in these sort of workshop style events, which is really interesting. And then myself and Kate both work at Falmouth University in the Institute of Photography. And so we've got there all the expertise from what is definitely one of England's best universities, if not one of Europe's leading providers of photography education. So we've really got it all covered in terms of moving image stills. And then myself in particular, I'm interested in doing more unusual bits of photography. That has really come from learning to make photography accessible again by stripping it back to the absolute basics.
Your own background, though, includes delivering analog photography workshops to a mixture of different learners and experimenting with, as you said, unconventional sort of photography methods, like turning living trees into pinhole cameras, I read as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what it was that drew you to experimental photography?
Yeah. So that was quite a fun project, actually. That was a project that I did whilst I was studying at Falmouth, but it was during lockdown. And when I was in lockdown, I was actually living in the woods in Totnes, completely off grid. And I didn't even have a camera. So I had to figure out how to do my photography degree without access to any facilities. And that's where I really found this passion for alternative techniques, which was, all I had access to was, kitchen supplies and woodworking supplies. So I was making my own cameras. I was finding holes in trees and turning those into functional cameras within the living tree itself. And by doing that, not only did I make a really fun project, but I really learned how to strip back photography into an approach that you don't need any technical skills to do. You can literally do it with just, for example, using an empty tin can, you can turn into a camera, or you can make your own developer using coffee and vitamin C tablets, all sorts of stuff like that. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed that project, and it has given me quite a fun arsenal of interesting techniques that, as I say, you don't need to be a professional photographer to learn. You can do it at any age, any ability, and get some really cool, unusual images.
Beyond the upcoming workshops, then, what other projects and opportunities do Henwyn Collective offer? And are there any future plans that you're really excited about?
At the moment, as I say, we're really focusing on these workshops. And the main thing that we really want to get out there is, as I said, not just people getting involved with the actual participating in the workshops, but if anybody wants to be photographed, or they know a group or, something like that would be interested. Once these workshops have come to an end, it's going to be an exhibition at Bodmin. And so that's going to be our next big thing. It's going to be a really cool exhibition, because as part of this funding, which has come from the Heritage Lottery Fund, it's not just ourselves doing these photography workshops. There's a group called Bod Zine that are doing zines. There's a group doing podcasts. They're making a documentary film as well as like an interactive map. There's loads of different things all going on as part of this Roots and Roots project within Bodmin. And so that's going to be the next big thing, is this exhibition, which I think the dates are now set to be from the 14th to the 21st of June, but definitely keep checking the Bodmin website closer to the date to be sure. And then, that's when all the work's going to come together. As well as that, we've got a few other things on the side. We've got a couple of music videos coming out, and hopefully we'll have some more workshops in the future as well. But right now, all systems are go for exhibition and into Bodmin.
Amazing. For anyone listening then who might want to take part, support your work, or collaborate with you, how can they get involved?
So if you want to get involved with these workshops, there should be a link to sign up to the Eventbrite on our website, which is www.henwyncollective.com. So that's HENWYN collective.com. And also, if you've got a story to do with this project specifically, you can email us. The email for this project is acornishlens@gmail.com. So acornishlens@gmail.com. And then anything else that's to do with the work that we do or any of our projects, again, if you go to Henwyn, you can find everything there. Part of our work is that we're partnered with the Kerno's archive of George Ellis's images. And George Ellis was a photographer based in Bodmin. And during his time photographing, he took over 95,000 glass slide images. And this number, 95,000 glass slides, are all held at the Kerno archive. And so if you're interested in his work, definitely check out their website. If you just type into Google Kerno, all of those images are getting scanned in from Kerno. And so you can go back into the archive and have a look at them. And there's amazing stuff on there. In fact, sometimes when we're showing the images, we literally get people walking down the high street and going, oh, that's me when I was a child, or that was my nan or something. So if you are a Bodmin resident, I really recommend you have a look into that archive and see if you can find anything. And if you can, then let us know. It'd be great to hear. And maybe we could recreate an old photo or hear about a story and see if it's still happening now.
NEWSWAVE.
That was Kathryn Sainsbury-Wilkes from the Henwyn Collective, talking, amongst other things, about their ongoing photography workshops, which are free of charge. Remaining sessions fall on March 31st, April 27th and May 11th, with more information available by visiting intobodmin.co.uk. Now, let's hear about a community-led initiative that's helping people with learning disabilities to get more active. It starts with Chris Ballett from our active community, St Austell and Clay Country, and also includes 2 seed funding recipients, Emma from the Cornwall Bicycle Project and Craig from St Austell Table Tennis Club, who discuss how they've used the funding to make their activities even more inclusive and accessible.
NEWSWAVE.
A little overview of our active community as a project is that it is a community-led project which is supporting people with a learning disability to get more active in their community. It's taking place in 9 communities across England, and one of them happens to be St Austell and the Clay Country, which is great for the local area. We have made so much progress in the last year in terms of seed funding. So we'll hear a little bit more from Emma in a second, and the Bicycle Project, and also St Austell Table Tennis Club, about how they've accessed seed funding. But we're always looking for other local organisations to come forward and to try and become more inclusive in the activity that they offer. And what we mean by inclusive is to obviously help people with a learning disability get more involved in the activities that they offer. And then, in terms of other progress that we've made recently, so we've actually just appointed a community connector, which is a role to work alongside myself on the project. And what's special and important about that role is that it's a lived experience role for someone with a learning disability. So the community connector began 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we'll get a chance to meet sort of lots of stakeholders in the community in the coming weeks. We also have lots of events coming up over sort of the next 12 months. We've got our next community forum. It's just another opportunity for the project to do what it's meant to do, which is to get people with a learning disability to come forward, to share their ideas about getting active. Not just people with a learning disability, we're talking about family members, support workers, local organisations such as Emma, because that's sort of really how Emma would have heard about our seed funding and getting involved in the first place. So it's probably a good opportunity to pass over to Emma, really, and she can say a little bit more about how they've been involved in the project.
Well, it's been really great, actually, because it coincided really well with sort of launching our adaptive cycling programme at Partrack. We met Chris, and he has basically helped us to link up with lots of individuals and organisations around the local area, St Austell and the Clays. And through that, we've been able to tell people, what's going on at Partrack and the bicycles that we have there and the opportunities that we can provide for people to come and have a go at cycling on the track, and also next stage off the track to be able to go out cycling around some of the beautiful places we've got around locally. So I think that when we started, obviously there wasn't that many people coming because we were new, and being part of our active community now has meant that I would say every week we have around 30 to 50 people coming to Partrack to ride our bikes, which is just fantastic. Many people that thought that cycling wasn't actually even an option for them to become active, it's meant that they've discovered that it is. Just enable people to discover the joy of cycling, become more social. Par Hub in itself is a great social community venue to be located at. And then on top of all of that, we've been successful with the seed funding, and we've spoken to lots of people that come to the track and asked them what sort of bike they would like. And we've been in discussion with Tomcat, and we chose a bike that is basically the most adapted sort of bike. So you can change it. You can change the length of the cranks, you can change the seat position, you can change the height of the handlebars, the seat swivels round to the side so people can transfer in and out easily. So it's the most versatile sort of bicycle that we can find. And we've purchased that with the seed funding from our active community, which is amazing. We've been able to apply for other funding and use and talk about our project in the future, and say that we have received funding from MENCAP for this trike, enabling us to therefore keep our project going and expand our project as well. So we've just received funding for a van, which is really important to be able to transport our bikes around, so that people can not just enjoy cycling, say, on the Partrack, but Penchyn Trail, Goss Moor, which is in the St Austell Clays, and the St Austell clay trails themselves down to Eden. There's some really fantastic places for people to cycle. Having the seed funding has enabled us also to apply for other funding and say that we have already received some funding and we can make our project even bigger, and provide further opportunities for people to cycle and hopefully continue to cycle.
Chris, just for you, now we're a year on and we're starting to see some of these organisations join up and some real difference being made in the community, and the community as well joining together to kind of create this pathway. It must be really nice for you to see some of these discussions now coming to fruition and the impact that it's making on people in the communities that you're serving.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the way that we're trying to make things work with the forums and just through these community conversations is to listen to people with a learning disability, listen to those that know them best. And that's the beauty of this seed funding, is that it isn't just random organisations that don't understand their participants. It's organisations like the Bicycle Project, like St Austell Table Tennis Club, that have actually come to the forums. They've listened to what people with a learning disability want. They've spoken to them, and then the seed funding ideas have come from that. And that's probably the most pleasing thing about this way of working, is that it really is community led. So yeah, absolutely brilliant to have these two seed funding ideas already taking off. And then I know for a fact that we've got a lot more in the pipeline. We've got some things around dance potentially. We've got some things around football possibly, and lots more. To be honest, I can't really reel it off the top of my head, because there are plenty of ideas coming up, because there are gaps in the local area that can be filled. So yeah, I guess with a lot of funding opportunities, you have a sort of set time frame for it, and then you work within that time frame. And then once that funding's gone, ultimately the activity potentially ends, or you're scrabbling around for the next funding opportunity. And I think the way that we're trying to do things with this seed funding is that it's a test and learn approach. So we test an idea and we kick it off, but we're always thinking ahead to actually how can we make this something that's sustainable and something that can keep going in the future. So that's something that we looked at with the Bicycle Project, and the fact that obviously this piece of equipment is something that will last a lifetime really, and also with the Table Tennis Club in terms of how is there an exit route from the activities that they do into their actual club. And probably one other thing, Tom, to add, it's not me as such that's making these decisions. Of course, I play my part as a community partner to try and push things along, but it's actually people in the community that have approved these seed funding applications. So we had a panel of people with a learning disability from the local area. We had some support workers who actually came together and made contributions and gave ideas and gave thoughts and questions about Emma's and Craig's seed funding applications. So that's just another sort of crucial aspect, that this really is community led, and really my role is just sort of pushing it along rather than owning it, if you like.
How can organisations like Cornwall Bicycle Project or St Austell Table Tennis Club, how can other people follow in their footsteps?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Never too late to join in and become part of our active community. It's something that, although the project ends in 2027, we say it ends, that might just be that my role ends, and what we would love to happen is that the community picks it up and keeps it going. And I feel that that's already sort of starting to happen in a way through the WhatsApp group that we've got, or just the general conversation that's going on around this work. But yeah, in terms of organisations or community members, because that's really important as well. Anyone that wants to get involved, come along to one of our forums. That is the absolute best way to find out what's going on, to understand a little bit more about the project, to meet the people that it's all about. That's probably the most crucial thing, is our forums are all strictly in person. We want it to be something where people actually interact with one another and there's a little bit of energy in the room. And I think, Emma, you'll probably remember our first forum, there was just so much energy in the room because people were chatting with one another, moving around the room.
Emma, have you got any recollections from that first forum or any kind of reactions, or what did you expect when you walked into the room, and what did you leave knowing?
Well, it's certainly a great buzz when you walked in. Lots of people chatting and excited to be there. I think it was really nice to recognise people that have already been to our sessions, and to be able to engage with people when we were there. And then the other really nice bit I thought was brilliant was the way it had been arranged. Different activities were put up around the room, and you had to go and you were invited to go and take a tag with an activity written on that of something that you would like to do. And it was really lovely to hear some people that had experience in one activity become excited and tell others they should have a go at it. That only happens when you get everybody together in a room. So that was just fantastic.
Craig's actually joined us now. I wonder if you could just take a moment just to describe your sort of involvement so far, the opportunities that you've identified for people in the community, and the journey to sort of making that happen, if you don't mind.
Been amazing. Been super easy in terms of the process, I'll just say. So Chris, his team, and the panel. So the guys on the panel have made it super easy, and we've had all the support that we needed to actually get the seed funding. In terms of opportunity, it's allowed us to reach out now to probably so far 40 or 50 individuals with learning disabilities, which is perfect. And it's also enabling us to create a learning disability league in table tennis, which we think, don't hold me to it, we think will be the first in the UK, which is just for learning disabilities. I might be wrong. We could only do that with the funding. With the seed funding. So there's always been a bit of a barrier with transport to getting over to our club, whereas actually now we can work with the local leisure centre, which is walkable for a lot of our service users. We've been able to purchase 3 new tables for the leisure centre, and we can hold the league there essentially.
But in terms of legacy, this is a springboard to be able, for both of you, and for other organisations that might be listening, this is a springboard to be able to create a real lasting difference and impact and change, isn't it?
It has to continue. I think that's one thing that's really important. So even when we finish like the first year of our league and the fund's not there, we need to make it sustainable. So it might be that it's not us as a club that's necessarily, we will always be there to support, but it might be that the day centres are running the leagues with the leisure centre, with our input. So we'll kind of have an approach of a bit of a train the trainer kind of thing. So it's not just left to the table tennis club to always run it. It will be sustainable for the future. And that's super important to us. But we'll be involved wherever we need to be.
That aspect that Craig mentioned there about sort of the community taking ownership is so important. So like Craig said, where they're developing the skills of support workers to actually be able to do some of the delivery. And it's exactly the same with Emma in terms of, I won't speak too much on your behalf, Emma, but in a nutshell, the fact that you're developing cycling as a skill for people to be able to take away from your sessions and use themselves, and that bit's really important. And that's what we would encourage, I guess, for any organisations that want to come on board, is that we're trying to build what we call capacity in the local community, so that it's not just reliant on a little bit of funding here and a little bit of funding there, that actually in the future it's skills and it's people that have been sort of invested in, so that it genuinely becomes an our active community.
NEWSWAVE.
Our thanks to Chris Ballett from Our Active Community, as well as to Emma from the Cornwall Bicycle Project and Craig from St Austell Table Tennis Club for joining us here on Chaos Radio. There are so many exciting updates coming out of Our Active Community at the moment, some of which we'll be sharing here on Chaos Radio over the next few weeks. So be sure to check them out online and on social media, as well as giving Cornwall Bicycle Project and St Austell Table Tennis some love too.
NEWSWAVE.
Okay, that's all we've got time for on this week's edition of NEWSWAVE. A big Chaos Radio thank you to Kerra Hancock at Out of the Woods CIC, Simon from Rudi's Message, to Kathryn Sainsbury-Wilkes from the Henwyn Collective, Chris Ballett from Our Active Community St Austell and Clay Country, and of course to both Emma from the Cornwall Bicycle Project and Craig from St Austell Table Tennis Club. And as ever, a final thank you to you for listening and helping support local journalism to thrive. To catch up on all of our coverage, as well as to check out our extensive back catalogue of interviews and shows, do head on over to chaos.radio. And remember, if you have a local news story that you'd like to share with us, email news@chaos.radio or search Chaos Radio UK across socials. That's it. You're up to date here on Chaos. I've been Tom Howe. Thanks so much for listening.
NEWSWAVE.
Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.